This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by the folks over at Ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease is super excited to now be up and running in Sacramento, which means if you live in California's capital city, you could be just minutes away from placing an order for legal marijuana products that follow all relevant state cannabis laws and less than an hour from taking delivery. Ease only partners up with the best dispensaries in their active areas, which means that you always get exactly what you pay for when you place an order through Ease.com. Properly tested, labeled, and packaged, top-notch legal cannabis products. Find out just how easy legal California marijuana delivery can be with Ease. Just open up Ease.com, which is spelled E-A-Z-E, and get your order in, assuming it's made during the hours when delivery is allowed. Big thanks to everyone over at Ease for the support that makes today's news possible. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Tuesday, June 19th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 514 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We start the day off with some very big news out of New York State, as Health Commissioner Howard Zucker said yesterday that an upcoming report on adult use marijuana would recommend that the state embrace full legalization. The report was commissioned by New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and asked for a rundown on the pros and cons of legalizing adult use marijuana. Yesterday, Health Commissioner Zucker told reporters, quote, "The pros outweigh the cons, and the report recommends a regulated legal marijuana program be available to adults," unquote. This is big news in the context of the growing push for more progressive cannabis policy reform in New York State. But as Kyle Yeager over at Marijuana Moment points out, it's a little late in this year's legislative calendar for any kind of real reform to take place by New York lawmakers. Still, though, a good momentum booster. We jump over to the UK for our second story today with a good update on the storyline of 12-year-old Billy Caldwell and his mother Charlotte, who've been swirled up in the headlines over the last week or so after British customs officials seized the CBD oil that Charlotte brought back with her from a trip to Canada. That CBD oil was to be used to treat her son Billy, who lives with epilepsy but who's been seizure-free for the past year thanks to the use of cannabis oil. Customs officials took the CBD oil last Monday, and by this past weekend, Billy had been admitted to hospital and suffered his first seizure in more than a year. A video of the seizure was captured and shared publicly, which prompted the British Home Office to announce that Billy's medicinal CBD oil would be released to his mother. Thankfully, as of right now, Billy has been given his CBD oil, but only has a 20-day temporary license to use it. Yesterday's big update to the storyline was an announcement by British Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt that he now supports major changes to the UK's cannabis law to allow for the use of CBD oil. Health Secretary Hunt also spoke of the need to move quickly, so we might see some big, fast change in the realm of cannabis law in the UK. Not a bad story to read in full. Florida grabs our final top story today with a state district appeals court putting on hold an earlier ruling that ordered that the state allow registered medical marijuana patients the right to smoke their medicine. We've touched on this storyline lots in the recent past as two registered patients successfully sued the state for the right to smoke their medical cannabis. A decision on May 25th landed in favor of those two patients, but the state of Florida soon thereafter announced that it would be appealing the decision. Activist, lawyer, and super rich guy John Morgan, who bankrolled and supported the two patients' lawsuit, blamed Florida Governor Rick Scott for not letting the matter drop, writing in an email to a reporter, quote, "Rick Scott could end the appeal today. It will cost him his Senate bid. The makers of opioids are cheering him on," unquote. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease is happy to be celebrating June as Pride Month by donating 5% of its proceeds for the month to Out and Equal, a very cool organization that works to promote workplace equality for the LGBTQ+ community. You can learn more about Out and Equal by opening up their website, outandequal.org, with those three words all spelled out, outandequal.org. And as always, you can open up ease.com to place an order for legal marijuana products that follow all relevant California marijuana law. You can find out if you live in a part of California where Ease and their partner dispensaries are active by opening up ease.com, which is spelled E-A-Z-E. Ease has the entire state's various rules and regulations for marijuana delivery baked right into its system, so you can find out if they're active where you live in about 4 seconds, maybe 3 if you type quickly. Or if you live in the town of F, California, which I just made up. I bet that'd be really quick to search. Just hit F, hit enter, boom. Anyway, big thanks to everyone over at ease.com for helping make this show possible. All right, time for the Blitz. A poll out of Arizona finds that nearly 3/4 of Republicans in the state are opposed to the legalization of adult use marijuana, with just 21% in favor. This poll, and just about every other poll out there, does a good job of reminding us that while there are plenty of conservative-leaning folks who would like marijuana to be legalized, marijuana is far from being a truly bipartisan issue. Marijuana Business Daily's chart of the week tracks the growth of the number of licensed cultivators and overall number of cultivation licenses, while also pulling together some good context on the growth of large-scale cultivation license holding companies. As Marijuana Business Daily's Eli McVeigh has it, around 20% of California's 3,535 cultivation licenses were held by just 12 companies, with the top firm, Organic Green Farms, having 147 cultivation licenses under its control, or 4% of the overall total. Organic Green Farms has just under 1.5 million square feet of licensed canopy space, which is a little bit above the average grower's licensed space of 24,000 square feet. This comes under a regulatory scheme that is supposed to hold off on granting large-scale cultivation licenses until 2023, but that does allow for the stacking of smaller cultivation licenses. Just another chaotic aspect of the Golden State's cannabis marketplace that you should have a handle on. Yesterday, the Pennsylvania State House passed a bill that would free up a proposed cannabis research program that's been held up by the courts over the fact that researchers will be able to sell the cannabis they grow for research through a state-licensed dispensary. 8 schools in Pennsylvania have been given the nod to start up cannabis research programs, but have yet to begin given the lawsuit filed by existing cannabis license holders. The bill passed yesterday, HB 2477, must survive one more vote in the State House before heading over to the Senate for deliberation there. Keeping our sights in the Keystone State for another headline, we have news of a proposed bill that would free up medical marijuana patients in Pennsylvania to drive cars. Under Pennsylvania state law, anyone with any amount of a Schedule I drug in their bloodstream is explicitly banned from operating a motor vehicle. A Republican representative announced late last week that she'd be introducing a bill carving out an exemption to that law for registered medical marijuana users. Former Mexican President Vicente Fox just announced that he is joining the board of High Times Holding, the parent company of High Times Magazine and the High Times Cannabis Cup. Returning to Florida for a headline, a judge just ruled in favor of Nature's Way Nursery, a Miami-based company suing the state over a cannabis cultivation license it says it should have been granted last year. Judge John Van Lenningham's lengthy 116-page decision criticized the state's Office of Medical Marijuana Use for using a flawed process for judging license applicants. This one is rich with details, so I'd swing over for the full read. And finally for today, yesterday the Canadian House of Commons voted in favor of an amended bill to legalize adult use marijuana nationwide. You might remember this one from last week as the Canadian Senate sent over a modified version of Bill C-45 that was rejected by House lawmakers for a number of controversial amendments, including giving provinces the right to ban homegrown. Yesterday, that rejection played out in a 205-82 vote in favor of a bill with those controversial amendments removed. The ball is now in the Canadian Senate's court, so we'll certainly be returning to this storyline in the coming days. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at MJTodayDaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Did you hear about the thief who got caught stealing a truck full of lamps? he got a very light sentence. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible and those awesome cheesy jokes. To join the lesser strengths of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.